I'm honoured and pleased to have an Arsenal legend in the building, David Seaman, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Dein, can you hear me?
No way.
It was larger than life in every way, and he was a hero, not just with the fans, but with the players as well. They all loved him.
He was that good that in training, Steve Bold and Tony Adams, that he would embarrass them and they would try and kick him to slow him down a bit, and they couldn't catch him.
The ponytail on the head.
I was born with a tash. I remember seeing an Arsenal team celebrating getting fourth. Yeah. And I was like,
talk to them,
dropped
David.
quite a little way here. You know, we've done what we did. It's their time to go and create their own history.
Yes, my people, welcome back to AFTV and welcome back to the A-List. Now, we've had some big guests on the show, and today there's been no one bigger. This is the biggest, I think, so far we've had on the A-List. I'm honoured and pleased to have an Arsenal legend in the building, David Seaman, ladies and gentlemen.
You see, this is what we save the claps for on AFTV. We're clapping every week for watch-alongs. We're clapping for me. We're clapping for James, you, Laurie. This is a man to clap for right here. Legend.
Worthy of all the applause. Thank you for joining us, David. I've obviously got Turkish with me in the building as well. Normally it's Robbie, but we've got Turkish. It only felt right.
Pleasure.
Turkish was the right person to be drafted in for this one. We're going to have a great conversation. I'm excited to see what is to come of this episode. So David, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you in the building. I'm going to get straight into it. We're not going to mess around. I want to start going back first from, when you was at the club under George Graham, and then just kind of the era, the feel, what it was like in that time at Arsenal. And then we're going to kind of move into when Wenger came in and the changes and differences. But under George Graham, what was it like for you when you was at Arsenal?
It was, the expectation levels were massive. That's the first thing that I knew. I remember when I was at QPR and I was in the cab to get to Arsenal to come and sign my contract. Oh, yeah. And the cab driver was like, "What are you doing?" He says, "Are you going to Arsenal?" Because obviously he knew he was the cab driver.
They love a chat. They love to get a little bit of information.
And he's like, "Are you signing for us?" I was like, "Well, hopefully, mate." And the first thing he went, "You do know they don't pay very well, do you?" And I was like, "Wow."
Was that common knowledge?
I was like, "Yeah, but they win trophies," and that's the reason that I joined Arsenal, because I wanted to win trophies. I actually got offered more to stay at QPR per week than what I signed for at Arsenal. Wow. Because I wanted to see where it would take me, as in the levels of trophies and then the expectation. The expectations was massive. We were expected to win, not just like top four or anything like that. We were expected to win the league. And I'm coming off the back of obviously 89. Yeah. And then there was a season in between that, and then I signed. And my first season we won the league. So it was like really special, but there was an expectation and pressure of winning trophies. And
sorry to cut in, but none more so than goalkeeper position at that time, because Lukic was a fan favourite.
Oh, massive.
And he had just come off winning the league in that 5-year period, League Cup as well. Yeah. So for you to come in, how did you feel? Did you know you was coming in as the new number one? Was it a fight for the place?
So it's weird because like me and John, we were at Leeds together.
Okay.
And John used to pick me up. So he lived in Chesterfield and I lived in Rotherham. So he'd be on the motorway first. So sometimes he'd pick me up and we'd go in and we would train together. And then obviously, not my pride and joy, but one of my favourite photographs is of me and John as the two goalkeepers in the Leeds United team photo.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I've always been a Leeds fan.
Yeah.
But it's 50-50 now because of what happened with Arsenal, obviously. And and obviously like I left, and then John stayed there, and then literally I think it was about a year later he got bought by Arsenal. So then for me to go down and take his place, and it was weird because when it first happened, there was like a transfer deadline. So I went down expecting to sign. John wouldn't leave because he'd not been treated very well. Okay. So that scuppered the deal.
Oh, okay.
And so I had to go back to QPR. So I'm now getting stick from QPR fans. And I'm sure we played. I can't remember where it was, whether it was at QPR or at Highbury. We played when I'd gone back. And I remember You lot.
I was born in 88, so I was only 2 years old.
All right. All right then, maybe your mum and dad then. or your gran and granddad.
Maybe.
But I remember them singing to me. We all agreed Lukey's better than Seaman, right? And then they were singing at me, "You'll never play for Arsenal." And I was like, I bet I do, because I've already signed the contract.
That's class.
I know, you know, that's so that's...
But what did that do for you mentally? Because we can liken a lot of this situation with
Raya,
not an ongoing one, but one that we've seen circle in the last 12 months or so.
Yeah.
Mentally, what did that do to you? Did it push you on? Did it make you a bit more nervy? Did it?
What is that when that was happening?
Well, I suppose when you arrived, surely because
you're replacing a number one that we was all happy with at the time.
But that's more pressure.
Yeah,
you know, on top of the pressure of the expectation levels at Arsenal, that was like one of the biggest things, you know. And then it was so funny because like some of the Arsenal lads, Dicko especially, he was like, "All you got to do is do the twist." I'm like, "What? Do the twist?" He went, "Yeah." He went, "Lukey the fans used to sing to Lukey, do the twist," and he'd shake his arse, and they'd be like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Really?" Is
that what it took?
And then the fans start singing it at me. I'm like, "Oh my god," because I hate dancing and anything. And I just did a little
jig.
You know, and obviously, like what I was doing on the pitch helped as well.
Definitely.
So
you won us over with the jiggle.
But it was a weird move for me. I was nearly at Man United. So Man United came in for me before Arsenal.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then, what made you decide? Obviously, you said Arsenal winning at the time. You wanted to push your career and want to win, but what was the deciding factor? Was it money, or was it the fact that Arsenal was where you wanted to be?
Arsenal actually made a bid. Sir Alex wanted me to go in there as a free agent at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And because Arsenal made the bid, obviously QPR then got money.
Of course.
A record fee for a goalkeeper back then.
1.3 million.
They're nearly on that a week now, aren't they?
Yeah. More or less.
At the time, that's a lot of money. That was a UK record for a goalkeeper.
It's a British record. So
big. Listen, talk your stuff, David. Listen, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So you chose because of the obviously QPR as well, nice in them as well.
And I'd already been living in and around London for 4 years with QPR, so my family were settled.
Of course, London, yeah.
And it weren't much of a disruption.
Around those times, there wasn't a big difference between how big the clubs were, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, Arsenal had more league titles. That's in the 91.
And I tell you what happened. So I went back to QPR after it fell through when Lukey wouldn't leave, and I'd got Ray Wilkins at QPR then as like player coach.
Yeah.
So I spoke to Ray and I was like, what would you do? And he'd said to me, he said, if you sign for Man United now, you won't win trophies straight away because they're a big club and they were rebuilding. He said, but if you sign for Arsenal, you'll win trophies straight away. And then Don Howe was the coach at QPR, and Don just went to me, he went, "Get yourself to the Arsenal, lad."
Okay.
That was it.
I do want to actually touch on that. You mentioned obviously Lukic, and then you coming in a fan favourite Lukic at the time, and we did speak about, briefly touched on it, but Ramsdale was I think he still is a fan favourite. I mean, there's times where he's on the pitch and then we're singing, England's number one and whatnot. But Raya's come in and dislodged him, and we have improved. Obviously, won Golden Glove as well last season. David Raya. How for GK Union as well, for that going into a club and then knowing you have to, be friends, work together. Really, you can't really be too bitter. What was it like? I know we touched on it briefly about the Lukic, but how do you think they're dealing with it, Ramsdale and Raya? Because Ramsdale seems like he's keeping professional throughout.
No,
but
Aaron's
do you think
like
it's
that.
tough?
Aaron's, it is tough for Aaron. There's no doubt about it. But it was tough for him when he first came in because he was trying to get Bertolino out.
That's true.
Yeah.
So they were 1 and 2 then, and then when it switched and went with Aaron, then it's tough for Bernd. Because he's now got a deal as like being a number 2 or. In the end, he left. Yeah. Now we've got the situation with David and Aaron, where it looks like Aaron might leave.
Yeah.
And it ain't going to be good for the club. Ideally we keep them both, and we've got 2 great goalies
and play them as possible.
Then it's not good for Aaron's England position. Because he won't be playing. He played not many games last season. He played the first 5, I think it was. Then David got in. Then he only played against Brentford. That won't happen this season. Because now David signed for us, so he'd probably get the odd, cup games. depending on how far we go in that.
Yeah, and even then, because fans want the trophy this season.
And that's not enough for Aaron, because he needs to be pushing for the England number 1 spot. So, it's a tough decision to make for him. But that's why I'm not into being a manager. So good luck with good luck with that decision.
No, you're right.
But the club have got 2 really good goalkeepers. And what do you want to do? Do they want to change that, or do they want to? I don't know. And then obviously the FFP and all that thing comes into it, where you get and it's just it's weird at the moment. Look, thank God we've only got like 2 weeks of it to go.
Yeah.
To the end of the transfer window, then we'll know what's going on. But,
if you was Aaron, what would you do?
I was going to say that.
I know, but for it's a really tough one because he's, and I have to be careful because I coach at Arsenal. So, and I can't, I won't choose between them and all that because, if Aaron goes, then David's there and I'm there. I'm there to help or whatever. But Aaron's got to look after himself.
Yeah, World Cup in 2026. Exactly.
Yeah, he's got to go somewhere where he's playing.
100%.
But that could be on loan.
True.
And then he comes back, whatever. But it's
get him going.
It's Aaron's decision. And you need to play. As a goalkeeper, you need to play.
Yeah.
And I tell this to because I coach with the under-23s and the under-18s at Arsenal. But I go in once a week, and I say to them, don't disregard going out on loan. Don't think it's a negative. It's a positive. It's like I class like my loan period, and it sounds a bit disrespectful to Peterborough and Birmingham because, I went to Peterborough, they were 4th division.
Yeah.
When I left Leeds, when I got released by Leeds. And that, the 2 years that I had there were like a loan, because I was playing.
Yeah.
I was number 1, and I rebuilt my career through that. And then went to Birmingham and carried on rebuilding. Yeah.
It's a great point, and I'm gonna come in on this because I had a similar situation. I was at Crawley Town, signed as a scholar there, and I got asked to go on loan to Tottenham Mitcham, and I turned my nose at it because I've been young.
Yeah.
You want to be with the first team and whatnot in training, but then I decided to go on loan, and I had the most professional clubs at Crawley Town level, League One and above, come and watch me. I played the most minutes I've ever played. Yeah. I had the most enjoyment playing football because I was coming from a higher club and playing. So I think that is a great bit of advice, that you have to be visible, you have to be playing at any position, whether it's Aaron, whether it's strikers, midfielders. I think it's very important. And you touched on your coaching there. I didn't know it was 23s and 18s, so that's incredible. Yeah. Just for me, what makes a good goalkeeper for you? If you're at Arsenal, if you're looking for a good goalkeeper, what would you look at nowadays? Because it's changed so much.
I know, and the phrase that gets put to me so many times now is like, I've got this goalkeeper and he's brilliant with his feet, and I'm like, any good with his hands? If he's brilliant with his feet, can he be a striker?
And rightly so.
I know, so for me, the fundamentals of goalkeeping is hands.
Yeah.
Okay, feet is coming in a lot now, but that might change, because people get used to, they'll set traps, especially playing out from the back. Liverpool are brilliant at it. They set traps, they wait for you to put it to a certain area, then they're all in there. So that might change, but we'll see. We'll see what happens, how that develops. But for a goalkeeper, you've got the first thing that I look for is obviously they're going to be brilliant because they're now getting coaching from the age of 9. And like some of the under-18s that come through at Arsenal, and even the 23s that have moved on a little bit. I say to them, guys, you technically are way ahead of what I was when I was your age.
Wow.
Because they've had that coaching from such a young age. Yeah. But, obviously the playing side of it, they might not have played as many games as what I played when I was their age. Yeah. I've got the experience, but the biggest thing that I look for is how do they deal with mistakes?
Right.
So like in a game or even in training, you sometimes see it. Well, like one of the lads will like let one, like a bad mistake through his hands or under his body or whatever, and that affects him for the rest of this training session. You do that in a game.
Yeah.
You make that mistake in the first 5 minutes. Are you going to be a wreck for 85 minutes? Or can you regain yourself, compose yourself, and then start being a goalkeeper again?
Love that.
That shows how much the mental side can, especially for a goalkeeper who, for the majority of the game, might have at bigger clubs has pretty much nothing to do.
You know, and I've done it myself. You know, I've made, you know, like high profile mistakes. You know, but it's like, can you carry on after that?
You always did, though.
Yeah,
you know, that's the main thing. I mean, I can see the headlines now. David Seaman, safe hands. Let's win a few titles. And David Raya will be safe feet. That's the next one, yeah?
I'd rather be nil from the hands.
I love that. Let's journey on forward from the George Graham era and come into when Wenger signed for Arsenal and became the manager. And obviously there's a load of articles and news about when he arrived, the whole coming from, you know.
Can I just, sorry, I know you got a plan, but just before that,
go.
Bergkamp.
Yeah.
Because I think before Wenger, that cultural aspect also came with Bergkamp. But I know Wenger, you know, done what he done and legend for it. But what was Bergkamp coming in like? Because he was at Inter for a couple of years, majestic player. He had won the UEFA Cup at Inter, and we got him for...
The signing of Dennis was so good because on all levels, you know, the fact that we were getting Dennis Bergkamp, a player of that level, and he was a marquee player, you know what I mean? Like a finished article. Not finished, but he was up there already. Yeah. We're not waiting for him to, like what Nicholas and Thierry, when they came, we didn't know them. You know, nobody really knew who they were. Yeah. Dennis, up there, we're like, whoa, the club are signing players like that. Like we are, and this is honest, we're like we are going places. We're going to like win more trophies.
Wow.
You know, because we did. You know, and you know the story of Raya when he saw Dennis in the petrol station and, you know, all that. You know, that was us in the dressing room. We're like, it's Dennis Bergkamp.
Wow.
You know, because he was a proper player.
Yeah.
You know, and it like raised the bar again, you know, and then you get the effect of that is that in training, we're watching him and like, all right, we'll show you what we can do as well. You know, and we want to get to your level. You know, then you can compare yourself, you know, and I'm like, saving against Dennis Bergkamp. I've got Dennis Bergkamp and righty. Two not bad finishes.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Not bad.
You know, so it raises everybody's bar, you know, and that's what that signing did alone.
And at that time, Serie A was the probably the best league in the world with the quality of talent.
Yeah, and it had like a lot of like real quality players.
Baggio and the R9s and so on. So Bergkamp was such. So I had to get that in.
I need that because the timeline is perfect, and I didn't know that. I knew Bergkamp was who he was, but I didn't realise the effect it would have had on you guys in the change room. That's interesting to know. But then when Wenger arrived, Arsène, who was the kind of the tabloids.
It was us as well. And then when we saw him, we were like, that's our manager. He looks like a school teacher.
and that's where it kind of, like you said, the fans, and I think that's what the media went with as well. They didn't really see it come in, but he came with new philosophies. I've talked about like walking bare feet on grass and the diet changes. But I just need you to paint for me, David, the imagery of what it was like when he came. You said that he looked like a school teacher, but how fast were those changes coming in? How much did you buy into what he was trying to push forward? And
you don't buy in straight away,
okay? Because
you'd like when you come to Arsenal, it's the same as any signings. They've got to earn their right and earn their respect on the training ground.
Fair,
you know. And then so like Arsène came in, and we're like, right, what's he going to do? You know, and like his first pre-season, like there was no like running, as in just run. It was all ball work.
Oh,
and the lads were like loving it.
I didn't know that.
Even to the point, you know, and I was in the audience, and Wright was doing a Q&A last night, and he spoke about that they couldn't believe they weren't doing any running, you know, like just run, and even to the point where Dicko and Tony, like they were like, we're not ready for the season because, you know, we don't feel like we've done enough running, but they were fit in other ways, core strength,
sharpness,
and all that, you know. So it was totally different for us, and that was just the training, you know. Then there's like the off-field stuff, you know, like all the massages, you know, the way that we looked after ourselves, the food that we were eating. Was there people rebelling a little when they wanted to go and have maybe a drink or some stuff in the initial stages?
What was Big Tony like?
What was it? 96 when Arsène came. So Tony was like, he was off it, and you know, so he was like he was Tony. Yeah. Or the third Tony that I know. I know quite a few.
Every Tony won a league though. That was a good thing.
Yeah. Every one of them was a great player by the way. And so it was, just the way that we we started, and then the way that we were playing, like playing out from the back a lot more. Tony like demanding the ball off me outside the area, and then passing it through, giving it to Patrick, giving it to Manu. Then they're doing their stuff, and then Nicholas, doing his stuff, and it was. But like I say, you've got to earn that respect, and then the lads have got to see whether it works or not. So we're seeing a lot of the French lads who were already on the diet that because they've been with Arsène before, and they're eating like big platefuls of food 3 hours before kick-off.
What?
Of like pasta, like boiled chicken or boiled fish, boiled veg.
And playing as they are without getting bad.
No, but then the lads are like, whoa, and their energy levels were so high all the way through the game. So then the lads start, and that's how it works. Like you look. And you think, oh, okay. So then our plates were getting a little bit more on them, a little bit more on them. And we were on all sorts of different, vitamins and stuff, and boosters and all sorts of things.
Wow.
Like creatine was like brand new back in that day, and that worked. And then just water, like room temperature water, not even fizzy.
Room temperature.
Room temperature water, and not allowed any fizzy water.
Okay.
Stuff. It was
that.
wise. He never stuck ketchup and mayo and stuff like that.
Yeah, allowed you the sauces.
Some of the British lads as well.
The HP and
but then you take that like a little bit further on, and you mentioned about the drinking.
Yeah.
What happened is the standards that Arsène set in training. If you had a drink the night before, you stood out like a sore thumb.
Wow.
Okay.
So then the lads were like, can't really do that, So there was a time and a place for it, when we knew if we were getting a day off or whatever, But it was managed brilliantly.
It's how important, because I can sense how difficult it was, how much change came. How important was that first title for Arsène then? Because without that title, do you start doubting all these methods he's bringing in, or does the title confirm that this is the way to go forward now? Because it was essential that we won the league in his first full season, and that made it make sense to all the players.
Double. Sorry.
double. Yeah. We can get into that, the two doubles and all that. Yeah.
Double.
First double.
First double.
Talk your stuff, Dave. I like this. Let them know.
We might as well go back. The league in 91, the League Cup, FA Cup double in 93, 97, 98.
Yeah.
There was a few.
There was a few trophies, going back to how we started. This was why I came to Arsenal.
Yeah.
All right, it weren't like season after season after season. There was little gaps and stuff. And then, when Arsène comes in, and you're exactly right, you need to see trophies.
Yeah.
And we're getting a little bit like that now at Arsenal. We're seeing a lot of development. But now we need to try and take that one step further and win trophies. And but that's what we did. And to win the double in that season was amazing. And the way that we won it as well. The way that it was all, that it was eclipsed as well, with Tony scoring.
Yeah.
In the game against Everton, being put through by Bowley. And Tony's finishing with his left foot. He only used to use that for standing on. His left foot half volley.
Even in celebration, he couldn't believe it. He was,
he
done the Bellingham before Bellingham.
I've seen him in training. I was like, where's that come from?
That is brilliant.
Can't forget the 90 foot. A lot of fans, opposition fans, act like Arsenal haven't had success in Europe. Your testament that we have.
Exactly, like to go and win that, and with a team that was ravaged by injuries and suspensions, but we went out and won it 1-0. One of the weird things about that game, though, I've got to tell you this story, is when we arrived on the bus, on the coach, we saw the podium at the side of, behind one of the fences, that they put on the pitch, for the winners.
Oh, yeah.
And it had, cup winners, Palmer, already written on it. And we're like, what? Obviously, we were like the little sliding thing, but they'd put Palmer on there first. So that was the perfect motivation we needed.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Just as we got to the ground. But that's what we saw.
Good. That's and it turned out, that we ended up winning it. So that's a great story. We're gonna go back to and come back through into the journey through Wenger and what you achieved and whatnot at Arsenal with him. But I'm gonna just take a little cut to do a little game, a little activity of who am I? So I've got a very good black book of address of numbers, of good contacts, right? So I spoke to someone this week, said you was coming in, and I want you to guess who it is. he starts by saying, I remember him being a great role model, great to train with, very supportive. You made him clean his boots. He cleaned your boots a lot, but you gave him £200 at Christmas and he'll never forget. Who am I talking about?
That's a fine, by the way.
That is a phone gone off in the
Either a
back.
fine or a forfeit. Clean my boots.
He used to clean your boots. He said it was an honour training with England's #1 day in, day out. The best opportunity to learn from any
At the moment, I've got two possibles in my head. I've got either Stacky or Stuart Taylor.
A great experience and education that was always great fun with his banter, but also very competitive. The GKs bounced off each other under the guidance of Bob Wilson, who will be Arsenal's legend, the best goalkeeper coach I've ever had. You're on track.
The fact that he said bounced off, I'm going to go Stacky.
Congratulations.
Because I know Stuart doesn't use language like that.
Okay,
Bang on.
So that was Graham Stack, and like you said, Stacky, legend. I've had to play the charity match with him, but a really good guy, and he sung your praise when I said you're coming, and he said, I have to say something towards him, and just say how much he thanks you for the time that, he looked up to you. And I'm sure many of the other goalkeepers did.
But that was back in the day as well, when all the goalies at the club would train with us. So even the academy ones, so we would go out probably about 45 minutes before the first team came out and do our stuff. But we all trained together. So the academy goalkeepers could see where they had to get to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like up to...
Makes sense, yeah.
I don't want to sound big, but like to my level.
Yeah.
And they're only like 16, 17, but they've got an idea of what it's like.
Yeah.
Okay,
and that's like where Stacky came through, Stuart, and even like when Richard Wright signed for the club, the club they paid a lot of money for him. But I then get a chance to show, all right, you might have seen me on telly, but watch this.
Yeah.
Watch what I do in training. So what goes on in training is like a real gauge of how good you are.
Yeah, I've got another activity. My black book is saying I have to do this now. This gentleman is on holiday. He's in Greece. A legend, by the way. So I'm going to give him a call. Let's do this. Put on loudspeaker. Let's hope he answers. That'd be very awkward if he doesn't answer.
If Henri answers this phone, I'm going to go mad.
Mr. Dein, can you hear me?
No way.
I'm with David. He's with us, and I just want to get your initial thinking behind the signing of David Seaman, 1.3 million. It was a UK record signing for a goalkeeper. The fee, was he worth every penny?
Well, firstly, how are you, David?
I'm good. Are you, Mr. Dein?
Well done.
No, well done you for signing me.
Because when I hear your voice, I always feel happy, David.
No, thank you so much. Yeah.
Because I know I'm in safe hands. That's what we used to call him, safe hands.
Yeah.
David, just quickly, he said Man United came in for him around the time that Arsenal wanted him as well. So, but he chose us. Right decision, do you think?
Oh, well, are you asking David that or me?
I'm asking you.
It was definitely the right decision.
100%. And like I mentioned before, was he worth every penny? That 1.3 million, that's a lot of money at the time as a record.
Well, yes, and of course, when we bought him, he was at QPR and because we had John Lukic at the time, and he'd been with us for 7 years. But of course, David made 405 appearances for us, which was fantastic. Being at the club for something, I think it was about 13 years, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
Yeah, correct.
And of course, what a staff, 75 caps for England. I mean, he was larger than life in every way, and he was a hero, not just with the fans, but with the players as well. They all loved him.
Mr. Dein, I never forget the fact that when you were at the club, that you always used to come into the dressing room before the games, and and I know you always used to come up to me and say, "How are you, Mr. Safe Hands?" But I just wanted to let you know the appreciation from the player side of it, because it meant so much, because of you and who you were at the club at that time. the fact that you gave us time as well, it knitted everything together. It knitted everything together perfectly.
Well, that's very kind, David, to say that. You know, I regarded all the players that we signed as my children. They're an extension of my own personal family. And that's how I wanted the atmosphere to be. And that's why I always came down to the dressing room an hour beforehand, 10 or 15 minutes after the game, win, lose or draw, just to make
It was
sure
mainly when we'd won, though.
Sorry?
I say we won more than we lost.
You've got to believe that. You certainly did. Well, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, you had 3 league championships, didn't you?
Exactly.
91, 98, 2002.
Exactly.
And, yeah. And even now, you are revered amongst all Arsenal fans. You're so respected, David.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. Thank you so much. You enjoy Greece.
And England fans as well, by the way, because everybody knows what a part you played in England set after so many years.
Exactly. Thanks, Mr. Dean.
Well done all. Keep strong. Enjoy. Catch up soon, David.
Mr. Dean.
Yes.
Any strikers in Greece that we can sign over at Arsenal right now?
He's on holiday. Leave him alone.
The truth is, I'm not really looking too hard at the moment.
Mr. Dean, thank you so much. I know you're busy, so thank you for giving us your time and enjoy the rest of Greece.
Okay, so my good, and good luck to your programme.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dean. I'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Legend.
Thank
Another
you.
legend.
Bye.
Bye. See, there you go.
Another legend.
Another legend deserves a round of applause. Mr. Dean.
Yeah.
I would say again, it's a child that I legend. I would have liked to ask David Dein as well, but Anelka.
Yeah.
I mean, the way you talk about, you've got to come in, you've got to earn it, you've got to prove yourself. He came in and went pretty swiftly.
Yeah.
In that time, he proved something for Real Madrid to want him. But what was the feeling like that? A 19-year-old who you probably also on the cusp of greatness.
He was heavily talked about though before he signed though. Surely, like people kind of
there was an aura there.
Yeah.
But he was so much better than Thierry
At the time.
when they first joined.
Yeah.
When Nicholas joined.
Yeah.
And you compare them. Nicholas was like so good. Wow. And he was that good, right? And I think he might have even been a bit younger than 19. I thought he was, but he was that good that in training, Steve Bold and Tony Adams, that he would embarrass them and they would try and kick him to slow him down a bit, and they couldn't catch him. He was that good, and the qualities that he brought, and it was difficult for Nicholas to start because he didn't speak English.
Yeah.
So he was only talking to the French lads that were at the club, and that can wind a few players up, when they're just talking in French. But that, it was just that Nicholas didn't speak English. Obviously he learnt it later on, but yeah, he was like so good.
Imagine.
And then, but obviously with Thierry, it's a little bit different because he developed a little bit later. He struggled, to be fair and to be honest, didn't he, when he first came?
Yeah, it took a lot of time. He was on the wing here. It took a bit of time to score as well. Yeah.
And then he just put the afterburners on
rest is
and off he went. But Nicholas was a special player, and it's so funny because I played in an Arsenal Legends game at Real Madrid a couple of years ago, and Nicholas was there obviously because he played for both clubs. Yeah. And I hadn't seen him since I'd left Man City because Nicholas was there at Man City, and he and it was like so weird seeing him as like a man with children. All grown up and everything. Yeah. I was like, I said to him, I says, where you living now, Nick? He went, on the Palm in Dubai. I went, well played.
You still regretting that move? Or?
Exactly. So, yeah, it's, I know he didn't stay at the club, as long as what we wanted him to. But, he's still had an amazing career.
Was there ever a feeling of, obviously, this was the influx of, foreign talent coming into the country, and Arsenal had a very much English core. Was there ever a feeling of like, all these French guys are coming around and they're taking the limelight, or was there any of that in the back?
Not really, because of like what I said earlier to you about proving yourself in training. And like any player that came, you've got to prove yourself there first. You might come with a reputation. You might come with a lot of medals or whatever. but you've still got to prove that you're good enough. You know, and it wasn't a case of like where you came from. You know, you know, because then, you know, we started signing people like Mark Overmars. You know, Robert Perez. You know, but all right, with Robert, he was not quite as known, but like Mark Overmars was. You know, and he came and we're like, whoa. You know, he's still as fast as anything. You know, and you know, like with Dennis, even like when David Platt came. You know, like David Platt came in, and his first season was the first double.
Oh my God!
Was that the goal, the 3-2 Man United?
Then, exactly. Yeah. All right. He didn't play as much, but you could still see in training that he got it. You know, and he would always be in the right place to score goals, which is what he used to do for England and Villa and wherever he was. You know, and like in Italy and.
It's interesting. It's very interesting. I do want to ask you this because for me, you made goalkeeping cool. For me, I looked at you as the goalkeeper of that era. I know there was you know there was some great goalkeepers in the Premier League, but at the time there was a time where I'd say you're the number one goalkeeper in the league. Did you ever feel that? And what was there? Did you believe? Is there any time in that time did you believe that or feel that? I know you might do the humble thing of you don't, you just focus, but did you ever feel like I am the main?
You always want to be.
Yeah.
You know, so the drive is there to be the best. You know, at what you do. You know, and that's where, you know, that's where my thought process was. You know, not just for Arsenal, but for England as well. You know, because I got in 95 as like Terry's number one. You know, and he came and told me that himself. He says, right, I'm the new manager. You're my number one, which was like fantastic news to me. And so then being that and Arsenal goalkeeper as well, winning trophies. You know, you start to. You believe it and you give it, but you know, but like my character is that, you know, I'm like, yeah, but it's me, and but it's me. Do you know what I mean? You know, so you don't want to be too upfront all the time because people like to shoot you down. You know, and no matter what happens, you know, like because I was England's number one and Arsenal's number one, I used to get a lot of criticism. You know, that went with all the glory as well, but so that it keeps you in check, and that's what it used to do for me. You know, it would keep me in check.
Okay.
What was you gonna?
I was gonna say it's a bit left because it's me hosting today. The ponytail on the head. Like, let me just. Did you get inspired by anyone? Because you know the hairstyles is a big thing just in that era anyway of footballers. But like again, it drew more eyes to you, and I thought it feels like it came with the. I am the guy.
It was weird, you know, because like I've always had a tash, you know. I say to people, I was born with a tash.
That's what I tell people. I was born with this.
and then I suppose that the long hair came through my dad because my dad was a rocker and he had a motorbike and stuff, you know. But my dad always says, you know, like when he got asked about the ponytail and that, he's like, yeah, I used to have long hair, he said, but I never put in a bloody ponytail. and I never forgot that. But then, I don't know, I grew long hair. Then I just thought, let's see, you know, let's just see how far, you know. And then I always remember the first day I went into training with my ponytail in. Right. Oh my God. The lads like ripped me. So like I said to you before, we go out like 45 minutes to goalkeepers and you know, and I've gone in before that with this little ponytail, just the beginnings of it, right? And the lads have had a go and everything. I'm like, all right, and don't forget I'm 6'4".
Fair enough.
And I go out and then next thing the older lads come round as a group doing their warm up.
Yeah.
And like people like Dennis Bergkamp and Thierry Wright and all them, they've all got like little bandana things on and ponytails hanging out the back. And they're right there.
Good banter. I like that. It's good banter.
Yeah, but it was a part of me that. So what's weird about the ponytail is that I only had it for probably 4 years that I was playing. Because if you look at Euro 2000,
right,
wasn't there.
Oh yeah, I didn't. Oh
yeah,
that's right,
yeah. So I had it like obviously then it went into the ponytail for probably the 2001 season.
Yeah, the blue dream class goalkeeper.
Yeah, you know, and so then you know I retired in 04.
Yeah,
and then I had the ponytail chopped off live on TV for charity in about, I think it was about 06 or something like that.
I remember seeing that
after.
Or 05 even. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're the most famous moment you have in an Arsenal shirt, the ponytail was present.
It was.
In terms of the save, in the FA Cup semi-final.
Yeah.
But before maybe we touching on that some more, I always have to ask about Man United. I lived through what I believe is the greatest rivalry this league has ever seen. Man City, Liverpool doesn't touch it.
Yeah.
There seemed to be genuine hatred there. I've talked to Ian Wright, I've talked to Henry, I've talked to, you know, random players about how they felt going into it. I never got the goalkeeper's angle. I mean, was there genuine dislike between you and Schmeichel? Because it was you and Schmeichel that were the best in the league. I mean, are you friends now? Have you ever talked?
We are friends. You know, and when we've been out for drinks and that, we've recently done a blooming advert together.
Okay.
You know, so Frank's hot sauce. There you go.
Nice.
And it was great because it was just before the Euros. You know, so it was, and we were obviously England played Denmark, didn't they? So we did this advert, and it was great banter, and you know, and it's good. And the thing about me and Peter is that, you know, there wasn't hatred at all. You know, there was a respect level, but there was a level of wanting to get one better than him.
Yeah.
You know, and he had the same. You know, because you know we knew that we, you know, we were setting a different level for goalkeepers. Mm-hmm. And the thing is about that as well is that there was two totally different styles of being a goalkeeper. Like my style, as in like laid back, quite calm looking. In years,
it's crazy, because keepers are known to be.
Yeah. They said they were crazy. I just go, no, we're not crazy. We're different.
That's it.
I'll change my mind.
That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah. But then Peter was different because he was always aggressive, shouting and loud, and you know, always wanted to argue with his defenders. You know, so you know, and when I say to kids now, you know, like, look at the style, look at those two, you know, like me, and then even like Petr Cech, who, you know, was a little bit more my style of goalkeeping, like a bit calmer, but different styles of being a goalkeeper. So don't try and like model yourself on anybody. Be your own style of goalkeeper.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
nice.
That does make sense. I do. You know, I want to touch on that save because I think it's an iconic moment.
Yeah, amazing.
That 0-3, the semi-final against Sheffield for the FA Cup. You've spoke about it online before, so I don't always want to, when I do this, I don't want to congest the net with things you've spoken on before. But there was a small bit you said at the end of when you're speaking about it was a kind of a F you, shall we say, to the haters that doubt that says, because you was coming towards the end of your time at Arsenal. Of course, it was your last season, but it showed that you still, to be that acrobatic and make that save.
Yeah.
Where did you feel the doubters or that the haters coming from? Was it the media? Was it just, what was it FU to? Who was it more towards?
It was more towards the media.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like back then, the social media wasn't as big as what it is now. You know, so like our social media was more the press, the papers, you know, and there was a lot of, you know, and ex-players as well. You know, I remember, for instance, I think it was before probably World Cup 98.
Yeah.
You know, I think there was it then or, but like Gordon Banks had you know, I don't know whether he got stitched up with it, but you know, he actually went, there was a story that got his name to it saying that I was too old. And I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
You know, whether it was him, but I didn't receive an apology or anything, so I don't, you know, so stuff like that like really affected me.
Did it feel like they built you up and then? Yeah, but because that's the rhetoric in the UK that the English media will build you up and then they'll tear you down.
They love to tear you down just as much as building you up. But then you have to cope with that. You know that's going to come. You know, and there's a time when that happens a lot more than what you're expecting.
Yeah.
But when it comes from like ex-players and stuff, you know, then it hurts more. But then the fact that it's always in it's time you retired. And I was 39 when I made the save. You know, and it was a massive FU. Yeah, you know, so it just shows that I could still do that sort of quality save at that age. You know, I do that in the semi-final. We go on to win the trophy, and I was captain, and it was my last game for Arsenal.
Yep.
You know, so.
I'm sorry, I'm in shock because I think that's blown my mind. 39 years, you said you led us to the sorry, Dave, I was looking at your shot. No, to me, that is crazy though.
But do you know what the equivalent is? The equivalent is that you see when Ronaldo, Cristiano will score at 39 and he does this. Yeah. That's the goalkeeping equivalent. I'm an older man, I'm past my best and all this.
People won't see it like that, but that's the greatest, that's the truth.
That is.
But like, you know, but then like, you look at like my face after I make that save, you watch my face when I get up, I'm like that. And I do, because I didn't realise how good a save it was until I saw it on telly. And I was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, that was good.
Amazing save.
I'm still got it. Give me another 5 years.
Amazing save.
And that led to like going and winning the game against Southampton in the final. Beating them 1-0, my last ever game for Arsenal, even though I didn't know it was going to be my last game, which was a shame.
Why didn't you didn't know?
Because
how do you not know it was?
Because at that time, I was signing a year-to-year contract.
Okay.
And it suited me because I didn't know when I was going to retire or whether I wanted to, and it suited the club as well, because of my age.
Yeah.
And so then we played the game. I went on holiday for, in the end of the season. Arsène phones me up. He said, "I've got an offer for you." I was like, "Okay." And he went, "I want you to be my number 3 goalkeeper." I was like, "Whoa."
Wow.
Yeah. He said, "But I want you to be my goalkeeping coach." And it was something that I was really interested in because Bob was retiring as my coach. And then, and I was like, "Oh, okay then." And then he went, "But there's a 75% wage drop." And I was like, "Whoo!" And I went, "You know what I'm going to do?" I've got a few other clubs chasing me. I think I might go down that avenue, and that's why I went to Man City because I wasn't ready to call it a day.
Yeah.
I just felt I could do another year. In the end, it was just 6 months. I got injured.
Yeah.
And I did call it a day. But it was just that it was a shame. It weren't a shame because I lifted the trophy as my last act for Arsenal as an Arsenal player. But it was nice when I came back. When I played for City against Arsenal, we played at Man City's ground, and I was in the tunnel, and all I remember is like all the Arsenal lads are lined up there, and I'm in the tunnel, and I'm like looking, I'm like, this is weird. And then I just think to myself, like, don't throw it to an Arsenal player. Don't throw it to an Arsenal player. Because I've been doing it for like 13 years before. There you go. Whoops.
That'd be mental.
Imagine that.
That'd be crazy.
Since we're on the back end of the conversation about your career, and you mentioned ex-players giving their opinions of you and whatnot and the effect it had on you.
Yeah.
I mean, look at where we are now in life. I mean, look at the channel you're on. Fans have more opinions now than ever. Ex-players have more opinions highlighted all over the gaff, TV, internet. Do you think the Invincibles would have been as successful as they was then now with social media, with everything? Because I find it interesting that you mentioned how these things affected you and what you did to get past it. You use it as motivation, whereas in this day and age, it feels like it has more of a negative effect on players than it does.
Well, but like going back to when I was playing, I stopped reading the newspapers.
Okay.
I didn't even read them because I got to a stage where it was affecting me. Like you would look at an article that was like a negative article about you, and you'd be like, "Oh, but if someone says, "Oh, no, you played really well" or whatever, it's just a reporter that's saying it, and you just pass it away. But when it's negative, it like really registers. So that was like our social media. So then I stopped reading the newspapers.
Yeah.
And I'm talking a good 2-3 years before I retired. So now the social media side of it is very similar, whereas you don't have to read it. If it's going to affect you, don't read it, especially before games.
Yeah.
Because that's the worst time to go in. You've got enough pressures going into games as it is. So if it's social media, if it really affects you, don't read it before game.
It's tough, isn't it?
You've got to learn to live with it though, because it's there, and you can use it for good things.
Yeah.
But there's also going to be, also be aware that there's going to be rubbish on there and negativity.
It's tough.
Rest in peace, Kevin Campbell. But speaking to him last year and asking him about, he mentioned that you'd go into the pubs and the bars after, and you'd receive the criticism in front of you then, and that was the difference between then and now, where you'd still get it then, but it was round the corner after a match. Now
exactly.
Online,
people can hide now, and they can hide behind accounts and different stuff, and they can cause havoc. They can really cause havoc, but. Yeah, like, with Kev, that was like back in the time, and it was before, before all mobile phones had all the connections that they have. That wasn't available back then. So it was, like you say, it was more face to face. And
Kev's also
Kev's a big guy. Kev was a big guy. I'm a big guy. Tony was massive. Baldy was massive. Mandy and Patrick, you got them as backup.
And Keon was all right as well. Give you an elbow to the back of the neck.
To be fair, walking into a pub and seeing you guys walking, if you had a bad game, I'd be like, "Oh, you're great."
Exactly.
Can't believe it. Can I buy you a drink?
Can I have one more? I know we're running late. One more. Sorry for that.
Go on.
Jens Lehmann comes in and becomes invincible. How did you feel about that?
Devastated.
At least you're being just truthful.
I know, but that happened, and that was a fantastic achievement, and you know, I do like Arsenal VIP tours. I do tour season at the Emirates.
Yeah.
Not on match day. And then we talk about the Invincibles, and there's this little trophy, isn't there? This golden league
one.
thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they were the Invincibles, but we were the Incredibles.
Listen, the O2 team, a lot of people say the O2 team was better than the...
Yeah, you know, we won a lot of trophies, you know, like building up to like the O2 team and 03, you know, and then obviously I left. Jens came in, does that in his first season, beat that. Yeah, good luck. You know, but I always say that team didn't go on to win as much as it should have done.
Yeah, you're right.
Won the league in what, 04?
04, yeah.
FA Cup 05, and then that was it.
And then it's gone, you know, we've not won the league since then.
Yeah.
You know, so it fizzled out a little bit, you know, whereas, you know...
When you came in, no, you're right. You went from strength to strength. And
exactly.
But that's to say, I want to, if we could just get production to bring the shirt there, because we got...
What's your favourite Arsenal shirt I've bought? Just a curiosity.
So, like, first of all, straight away, I thought of my first one in that 91 season.
91.
The green with the old badge on it.
Yes.
Adidas.
Did you?
JVC.
So this is my favourite Arsenal keeper shirt. I've got a big collection of shirts, David. And
Does it look better now?
well, you can try it on this.
What do you remember?
Or do I need it? Yeah.
What do you remember of that shirt? So obviously that was
a 94, 95.
Yeah. What do you remember around that time in that?
Do you know what? I don't remember like what we won when I wore this, but I remember the socks to this were like. They were like see-through.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you know, I put them on. I know, you know, I've got like decent-sized calves, so it stretched the material quite a bit. And all you could see like all my shin pads and even like the hairs under my legs, you know, under my legs, under my socks. Yeah. You know, so it was
like tights coming up there.
Yeah, but it was, you know, it was. I like black. I like, as you could tell.
Same,
as you could tell. You know, I like, you know, so this had black shorts, black socks. But yeah, just all the kits that I had with Arsenal were like. Brilliant.
Yeah, they were unreal.
I had some dodgy ones with England, and I didn't have any input, obviously.
Couple classics. I mean, they seemed dodgy at the time with England, but when I look back, I mean, the 96 one, when you were team of the tournament, I like that one.
Yeah, I didn't.
At the time, I didn't.
Know,
but now I look back.
The yellow one was okay.
Yeah.
The red one was like way
wild.
Out there.
Yeah.
But that was like a bestseller, and I even somebody asked me afterwards after the first. I wore that shirt. You know, what do you think of the new kit, David? And I was like, shit. And you can print it. And they went, David Seaman thinks the new English shirt is. But just like, just memories. Like fantastic memories.
So nice.
No, don't run away. I need you to sign that before you leave today.
I want to push forward now. Modern day. It's Arsenal. Where we're at, the present Arsenal. Just your thoughts, David, and I think you can be obviously open to what to expect this season. You spoke about it a little bit already today about, you know, I think everyone is wanting a trophy. I think there's a lot of pressure that on the club to hopefully deliver a trophy. Do you think this is the season that it could be done?
Yeah, I do. You know, because we are now genuine contenders. We're back to where we should be. Yeah. We are contending for a title. Mm-hmm. Yep. And the last 2 seasons have proven that. Before that, you know, I remember seeing an Arsenal team celebrating getting 4th. Yeah. And I was like, we dropped David. Quite a little way here from what I was used to. You know, but, you know, it was a great achievement, you know, because we got into the Champions League and we'd not, but it was just the way that we celebrated it. I was like, that shows you quite a bit about where people are, where the players are in their minds as to where it should be and where it is now. You know, so now we are genuine contenders for that title. We are getting better and better. You know, and we're signing better and better players.
Sure.
You know, we're adding to the squad. Okay, we've only added Calafiori for this time at the moment. You know, there might be some more coming in, but they're adding. Then at the moment they're not adding to the team because the team it picks itself up more or less. But the squad is getting better, and that's what we need. You know, because you look at Man City's squad, you look at their bench, and they're like, whoa. You know, and that's where we need to be. Because if we get injuries, we could struggle. You know, as we found when Saliba got injured at the end of not last season, the season before.
Yeah, correct.
We we didn't have the right players to come in. Whereas City have got that. They've got that backup, but we're getting there. You know, and I'm excited. I'm excited now to see where it takes Arsenal because, you know, we're back in a position where we're going for the league and we're genuinely contenders to win trophies now. Again, I should say.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
What's the feeling like? Obviously, you're in the club. You said one day a week, but I like to consider Eddie. I can't call him a friend, but he's in the address book. But he seems like when he talks, he says that we're all as one. Everyone's together as on decision making, whether it's signings, whether it's going forward, what they're trying to achieve. Does it feel like that when you're there at the club? Does it feel like there is a real togetherness behind the scenes?
No, definitely. And like seeing Edu, because he's on our side of the training ground as well. He's on the academy. His office is in the academy side. Yeah. So every time I see him, we have a great hug because we were teammates. We done the double together. And he's got pictures of that in his office. And then winning. And I'm like, yeah. Great days, great days. We're both in there together.
We need them back. They're coming. They're coming. We need them back.
And that's where where it's nice to have Edu back at the club, Per back at the club, Jack Wilshere, under 18. I go in there and sometimes he's my boss. Yeah, I'm never calling you boss. By the way. He's like, it's all right.
That's fair. Hopefully, he must get that.
But Jack's good. Jack's really good, Jack Wilshere. But it's nice to see like ex-players involved in the club. And I go in once a week, sometimes once every 2 weeks, and just nice to be back. And Mikel's got it right though, because like he's now got like he's getting everything together. Because even like you go to the training ground, there's all the references to all the older players as well. Wow. There's pictures of us on the wall. There's pictures of us winning trophies. Even like way back to like Bob and before that. Ricey and George when he was a player, and all these photographs are now back on the wall.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it
should motivate.
It's a good reminder of what can happen.
Yeah,
and then there's also a slogan outside the dressing room at the Emirates, and it's "This is our time." And that's exactly what it is, because it's their time. We've done what we did. It's their time to go and create their own history.
Yeah. Hang on.
I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to leave for going to my little activity. Which I
mean, the whole ex-player thing. I mean, I was crying out for that for years after the Invincibles and got moving into the Emirates. It just felt like Wenger was somewhat against it. So, but I'm glad Mikel has turned it around and brought a lot of the legends back in. The players coming.
And we're welcome. We're welcome to go to the ground and stuff, and and it's nice. It needs a little bit of improving in certain areas. But it's you do see a lot of the lads there. No, I don't go to every game. I go. My friend invites me, and that's it. But I do know that a lot of the players are coming back.
Nice.
No, that's good to hear. It's now time for me, David. I do like a social activity, more than nowadays stuff on this podcast. And all I'm going to do is going to be an activity that we kind of trend online. I'll say a name, and then you'll say the same name if you don't think that person's better than the goalkeeper. I'm going to do goalkeepers, Premier League goalkeepers.
Right.
No pressure. but it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Let's start with, David Seaman or Jens Lehmann?
I've got to say myself.
Yes. You'd
be right. You'd be right.
100%. David Raya or David Seaman?
Me?
Yep.
This could go on a while.
Talk your stuff. I like that, David. We like this. Let's not forget what you want. David Seaman or David De Gea? Oh, he's thinking.
No, you just threw me then. De Gea. No, me.
Okay. David Seaman, Peter Schmeichel.
That's an equal.
Depends what you want.
I'd never say he was better than me. Never. And he would never say I was better than him.
So we're going to say...
He actually said he was sometimes wished he was me. Because of my calmness.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be the Peter Schmeichel that's the angry guy.
So that means I'm going to say David Seaman takes David Seaman over that one. David Seaman or Petr Cech? It's a tight one as well.
Oh no, that's another equal, I think.
Yeah.
Because you take into account of what Petr's won, and that's just I'm just hanging on with an equal, I think.
Okay. What's the difference between, because he seemed quite calm as well, so he had that as well. So he wasn't more the Peter Schmeichel, attitude was shouting, and so he was quite calm as well. So is there any differences, would you say, that stand out between you and Petr Cech though?
No, because
both great keepers.
With me, Peter and Peter, we made big we could make big saves when it counted. You know, we made match changing saves regular.
True. And by the way, some of the names mentioned there, top goalkeepers.
You know, and I would guarantee you that none of them would say, out of all those that you've named there, would say they were better than themselves. Especially the three of us, you know, Peter, me, and Peter, because we were
elite.
We were all right.
Yeah. Talking stuff.
Yeah, you know, we actually raised the bar. Never mind, touched it.
100%. I like that from a goalkeeper. I like that analogy. We raised it. Yeah, I like that. I was going to do a few more. It's called more modern day. These ones: David Seaman, Alisson Becker.
Yeah. But like then, so like I think, well, what have you won? Yeah. As in how much? You know, so you know he's a fantastic goalkeeper. Don't get me wrong. You know, although my preference is Edison.
That's coming.
Yeah, you know, but it's
so hard to compare new school and old school because you're comparing hands with feet.
And now, you know, and yeah, so but yeah, I'd still say myself.
Yep. Okay.
I can hold myself in that class.
Yeah. David Seaman or Edison, you mentioned him.
Edison's got a better left foot than me.
Everything else, David.
There you go.
Okay, fair. David Seaman, Edwin van der Sar.
Yeah, that's quality goalkeeper again.
Yeah,
you know, I'm still
there.
Still holding.
David Seaman, Jordan Pickford.
Yeah, I'd still take myself.
David Seaman, Hugo Lloris.
Oh.
there you go.
There's your answer. We'll just take that for the social. We don't need anything else. David Seaman, David James.
Right. Oh yeah. So I'm still going to put myself there. But the thing I'll say about David James is that when I trained with him on England duty, David could make saves that I knew I couldn't.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
What sort of
as in saves? Like full length stretching saves, and like you know top corners. He was there. Sometimes I got the feel, and I looked and I was like, I wouldn't have got that, but I did it more consistently.
Yeah,
fair.
You know what I mean?
That's fair assessment.
Yeah, you know, and because of how athletic David was, I knew that. Yeah, he was. Sometimes he could make saves that I knew I couldn't.
That's incredible.
But I did it. Yeah,
you did it more consistently, which I think is what most players and goalkeepers, players in general, are judged on. Really, your consistency and decision making. So that's a big one. Last one is David Seaman, Joe Hart.
Yeah, well, me and Joe are still the second most capped England goalkeepers on 75.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jordan's getting a little bit too close for comfort.
We need Ramsdale to jump in.
Yeah, Ramsdale needs to take that spot.
Yeah. But Joe's a good friend and he's been on my podcast as well, you know, so yeah. He's still not getting better than me.
I'll say it. You're better than him, David, don't worry.
I love the way you built up. He's like, he's my friend. He has been on the podcast, but he's still not better than me. That's what I'd say. But no, David, thank you. I want to kind of ask you as well, future projects. I know you've got like the Willow Foundation where you're fishing. You just mentioned your podcast, Seaman Says. Can we just do a little bit on that before we kind of wrap up as well? Because you speak very well. I think you should be on TV more, surely, doing puntry. Or is that a thing that you're not really looking to do? I know you've got your own podcast that does very well. You have big guests on there.
But so like with the podcast, it started in the Euros, like back when they were in England.
Right.
And, you know, they asked me to do it for that. And if I'm on, I don't watch a lot of football.
Okay.
You know, so then I agreed to do the podcast thinking, okay, I've only got to watch the England games. So I do that and then I enjoyed it. And then the guys at Listening Dog Media, they said to me, do you fancy doing a full season? And I was like, yeah, I do actually. I said, but and then I was like, oh shit, I've got to watch football more. You know, so I have to keep up a little bit more. Yeah. And then through the podcast, it's really helped me in doing interviews and stuff. And you know, like you say, we've had some like amazing guests on there, and we just used to do it online. So we did it for like 3 seasons online. Yeah. You know, and I've had people like Robbie Williams, like Tom Hiddleston. You know, like all the players you can think of, you know, and like
your dress book's pretty good as well.
You know,
still some contacts.
You know, Matt Lucas, you know, all these sort of people, you know, all the lads have been on it, and you know, and so now we've actually doing it from a studio, you know, and I had Gaza as my first guest, and that was tough, if I'm honest. Because getting Gaza, like, when he's like, you know, when he's on, he's on, and you know, there's about 80% of it you can't put out there, but the 20% is really good anyway. But you know, and then you know, I recently had Phil Jagielka on, you know, and I was talking about the save, about how because he missed the rebound. The rebound straight after it. He knocks it over the bar. He scores that. Nobody mentions my save.
100%.
You know, so that all got mentioned. You know, so then so like now I watch Match of the Day 1, Match of the Day 2, and the odd game. You know, and obviously when it's Arsenal or Leeds, I watch them as well. But but it's something that I'm really enjoying.
Yeah, no, I want to congratulate you on that. And people, obviously, the AFTV viewers watching it, please head over to Seaman Says as well, because like I said, great podcast, great guests, and you should be on TV more. Now you're watching more football as well, but even still, your experience should supersede what you're watching anyway, and the way you speak on the game. So,
and I'm doing a lot with the Willow Foundation as well, which is Bob Wilson's charity. You know, that's been set up for like 20 years now.
Wow.
Even more, I think it is. And you know, me and my wife Frankie, we've now stepped up as co-presidents with Bob, because Bob lost his wife Meg, who was like the main force behind the Willow Foundation. She died just before Christmas, so we're helping Bob, and then we, you know, hopefully, you know,
if there's anything we can do, I'm sure.
It's a brilliant charity, and thank you. You know, we provide special days for seriously ill young adults between the ages of 16 to 40, and you know, the special days can be anything. You know, I had one last season where the lad who's got an illness, he wanted to be coached by me at the training ground. You know, and I mean, and he came. I know, and he came like with his family and that, and they were all watching, and he was a decent goalkeeper, if I'm honest. You know, but the smile on his face that he had, and his family afterwards, just shows to us that it's all worthwhile. All the hard work that we do. You know, you see the smile on their faces because it takes them away from their day-to-day medicines, treatments, and all that sort of thing. You know, and that's the beauty of the Willow Foundation.
And people should go out and search it. I'm sure we'll put it in the description as well. But like I said, David, and it extends to everyone. If you need any help, anything with it, you know, I'm sure AFTV is here to help with that.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this.
Can I ask one more question?
Go on, then.
It's been on the tip of my tongue. It's been on the tip of... You're our 0102 team. One player from the current squad that you think starts in the 0102 team, or comes off the bench as 12th man, because starts might be difficult, but 0102,
crazy.
One player.
One player.
And I'm going to make it a bit more difficult, because obviously you have to consider who you're taking out of that 0102 team, because you could easily say Saka, but then you'd be taking out
I'd be taking like Ray or Freddie or...
Fred, yeah.
So when you said that was the only one that I thought of, would be Bukayo.
It'd be mine as well.
But because you have to leave out Ray or
Rice, Freddie. Gilberto, how close is that for you?
Say that again.
Rice and Gilberto.
Yeah, but Gilberto, look what he won.
Gilberto,
every legend I speak to, they talk about Gilberto, how important he was.
And he's like one of the, like, he's the quiet guy of the team. You know, a bit like Edu was as well.
Yeah.
You know how they used to like link defence to midfield to attack. You know, all those little passes, and then Gilberto would chip in with a few goals. And Declan, you know, I can't put him in ahead of Gilberto because Declan's only been with us for a season.
Yeah.
Saliba Keon, or is it?
It's 01 or 2, isn't it? So I would never take Martin out because I know what he'd do. and then you'll get this to the back of the neck.
As soon as it comes out the phone call.
But it's like when people ask me, right, for my best Arsenal team, right, and I'm like, I've got about 3 of them, but I go with like the original back 4.
Yeah.
You know, so like Dixon, Bold, Adams, Winterburn. But I always have to say Martin as well, you know, because he was like
integral.
The 5th. But do you know what I mean? He wasn't there at the start. You know, he came a little bit later on, and so I say that, and then I have to say, so like I go 4-3-3.
Yeah.
And the reason I do 4-3-3 is that I go with Vieira, Petit, Perez as my midfield. and then the three up front. Yeah, but you know why?
Because
I have to put Righty.
Yeah, you have to fit in.
So I have Righty, Henry, and Bergkamp.
Yeah, it ain't easy.
As my strike force. That's my team.
Yeah,
so
fair,
to do it.
fair.
And I do put myself in goal, by the way.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I mean, we could have done the 12th man, maybe, like you said, maybe put one of the.
Zaka would be the only one that. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Pleasure.
David. Honestly, thank you for coming down and being open and just honest and just enjoying us and giving us the stories. I really appreciate you coming down to AFTV and giving us your time. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, guys. Well, you've surrounded me with Arsenal memorabilia. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Love that picture.
And like we said, make sure you check out Seaman Says and also the Willow Foundation. There'll be a link in the description. Thanks again to David for joining us, and we'll see you again very soon. Take care, people.